So next on the agenda is a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. President, I move the board approve the agenda as presented.
Motion and second, any discussion? All right, ready to vote?
All votes are in, motion carries unanimously.
So next on the agenda is the public hearing for the 2020 budget. Do we have any public people here who would like to comment about the budget? I see none. So do we vote on that now? What do we? Okay, so do we have a motion to close it? Do we make a motion? Or
We close, I move that we close the hearing.
The public?
Public for communications on the budget.
So, Mr. Minke, are you going to discuss it, or can we?
We are prepared with no community comments. We would ask that the board consider the 2019-20 budget as published, and it has met its statutory requirement for public time to 10 days. And so I would ask that the board consider adopting 2019-20 budget as presented.
So I think that we closed public communications. We had a motion to do that, so we should vote on that before we, yeah, since we had a motion. So we're ready to vote on closing. Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, same. Okay. So public hearing is closed. Therefore, we'll take a new motion to accept the budget. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, certainly. Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask Mr. Minke just one more time, I think it would certainly be great to remind us, and especially for our friendly periodical who's here today. Would you mind running over the budget again? And the one question I'm going to have, I'm kind of curious about the mill levy. Could you let us know where we are and where things are?
Yes, sir. As published in the Code 99, our overall 2020 budget is net of transfers $225 million, with amount of estimated taxes to be levied $31.4 million, with an estimated mill levy of 50.691, which is just below 2019 was 50.754. And I did look, just out of curiosity, I went back about 5 years and I looked at the 2013-14 budget and what was levied. 2014 we had a 56.32 mill levy. And we levied $32.7 million that year. With the proposed budget, we're at 50.691, right below 50.7 where we were last year.
What was the dollar figure again?
31.4 million is what our estimate is this year. In 2014, actual taxes levied were $32.7 million.
So, not only, so valuation has increased, that's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
That means there's growth in our community.
Yep.
But we also know the requirements of what we do with our students. All those things increase. We need to see growth as we have new students and new requirements from the state, new challenges, societal factors that none of us are responsible for or can take individual responsibility for, but we're working with them in our districts. At the same time, those things have increased. Our mill levy has decreased, and in fact, the dollar figures that we are levying in terms of taxation has decreased. So if, in my opinion, if you wanted to see the textbook, what is fiscally responsible, what is efficient, what is making every single dollar go the furthest, if people wanted to take a lesson from this, in other units of government, they could look at our budget and the wonderful job that you all do, administration. You're not supposed to respond to that.
I won't. Every year, I think I quote Rudy, our old friend, right? Success and failure, they're both imposters. So we appreciate the support the board gives us, as well as leadership, and we do try to make the best of the budget dollars.
Well, and so you're not supposed to pat yourself on the back in public, but you know, as a parent, as somebody with a vested interest in education, as a taxpayer, I can do that. I can tell you that the awesome job that my colleagues on this desk, our administration, and our educators are doing with the resources that they have. They are in classrooms every day, making all of these great things happen. We just saw a report not too long ago, earlier this summer, with additional growth in student achievement. This is all against this backdrop that we're seeing this growth in student achievement, teachers being more effective in the classroom with their students.
And we do appreciate the increases in base state aid as well in the last 2 years. So that's,
you're right.
That is something we should appreciate very much, and our Supreme Court blessing that. And so we look forward to everybody keeping the promise to public education in Kansas over the next 3 years.
Any further discussion?
I just want to repeat what Mr. Woods was saying about our thanks to you and Shanette and Tal and all the people over there in their office. We know you put in incredible amounts of hours, lots of late nights trying to get this thing taken care of. We've had worse periods where the budget money didn't come down from the state until the last hour also. So this was a little bit easier year. We had it a little bit ahead of time. This is what I still want to say thank you. I know it's a huge, huge job. I always forget how you told us how many little pieces of paper that you had to add up and make work and get in the right place, and it's just it's mind-boggling. I don't know how people did it before they had computers. I don't know. Was it cut and tape? Was that how they? I mean, I have no idea how they did all of that without the computers that we have available to us today. It wasn't as complicated as it is today. I would imagine. Thank you.
Chart of accounts. I have one downstairs in the fire safe room from 1927 or 1928. It's interesting if anybody wants to come down and look at the budget. It's about this big. And it was all handwritten.
Whole thing.
Immaculate handwriting. It's really interesting. The chart of accounts is handwritten.
Well, thank you. We know you didn't have to do it by hand, but it was still
yeah, we're not complaining.
I know, it was still a huge, huge.
And we appreciate being able to this year get this work done in 2 board meetings and not have to inconvenience our board, as we have done the last 3 years, dragging you in here 4 times in August, and we really were excited not to do that to you this year. So hopefully we can set a pattern here for the next couple of years where we just can get this done during our regular business meetings.
Well, you know something, Gary, I don't think any one of us minded that we had to come in extra times. It was too important. We knew we were doing it for you and your staff to try to get this taken care of, and I don't think anybody found that difficult.
Too much burden. Okay.
We came in for an hour at the most, right?
PBS channel or anything. I don't know.
There you go.
Or ball games.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we didn't find it disruptive, but we appreciate only 2 meetings. So we are ready to vote, I think. Public communications?
There are none.
They're on that. So we're ready for a motion for disposition of business by consent.
Excuse me. Mr. President, I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for on behalf of the board.
Is there a second? There's Dr. Mickelson. Any discussion? I'll only comment about a contribution. I have a good friend, and his name is listed on the, who you would never expect the contribution from him. And he saw the need. He said, I want to give it to the kids that don't have anything. And he made a contribution. I'll present the check to Misty later tonight. I've got it. So I just want to make, he was going to be anonymous. I talked him into putting his name on the contribution. So I think we're ready to vote then.
Vote is open. All votes are in. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, we're ready for the superintendent's report.
Good evening. At this time, generally, we have the first day of school report from principals. Today is the first day of school enrollment report, but we do have a principal I see in the audience. And so, since he is our only high school new principal, we would like for Mr. Not Mr. Knott, Danny Knott was the Ackerman. I almost called you Danny Knott. Okay, I did call you Danny Knott, but Danny Ackerman. Mr. Ackerman, please come forward. The Highland Park High School interim principal, and he will give you just a little brief update about how the first day started. And then the next board meeting, we will have several principals, really elementary. We'll really pick from our new staff, so you can hear a little bit about the first day and first week of school. When Mr. Ackerman finishes, we're going right into the slide to talk about enrollment. So, Mr. Ackerman, can you start off with the enrollment at your building and just what highlights you'd like to share about Highland Park that might be new and interesting to the board?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me here. I'm Mr. Ackerman, I'm the interim principal at Highland Park High School. I'd like to thank the board for the wonderful, exciting chance to lead what I think is the best school in Topeka. I've been there 8 years and I've fallen in love with the place, and so thank you for the opportunity. I think enrollment, thanks to the tech guys, actually went a lot smoother than it has in the past. I think it was a lot more user-friendly for the parents from that end of it. We do still have some hiccups, but that's just the growing pains. But enrollment went really well for Highland Park, and I think for the district as a whole. What we're doing, I kind of want to speak specifically about Highland Park, but we have a real positive energy with the staff right now. We have a real positive energy with the students. I'm not a Facebook person, I have to ask Ms. Steve. But I put out a letter kind of setting the agenda for the year for Highland Park. And on Facebook, 5,782 people reacted to it. I don't know what that means. 3,520 people engaged with it. I don't know what that means, but she said it was liked, posted, or shared that many times. So that's been the theme for the year, and that's how we really wanted to start out. We had individual class meetings to really push what we wanted the community to see about Highland Park. And our theme, I don't know if some of you obviously were at the convocation, but our theme was, this is who we are. And it was specifically, this pause is who we are. And so I take that for when things are going good. Like I made the comment the other day, actually Dr. Anderson came to talk to our seniors, and she left, and I said, right now, I just want everybody to realize this. All of you being so attentive to me right now, this is who we are. That's not the image that people in the community sometimes think of Highland Park. And they know that, and our kids are really striving and dying to be outside the mold of what people consider them. They get that, and they want that to change, because there are things that have happened in the community. That is not who they want to have define them, okay? So our kids are just anxious to get going with this year and to really show that things that are positive, that is who we are, that is what we are about. And so just for the fact that, again, I don't know what this means. 5,000, is that a lot? I don't know. So people want to be positive, and people want to promote all the positive things about Highland Park High School, and I just think we just have the energy there this year to really make that happen. Again, please come anytime. You're always welcome. I'd love to see you anytime. We have nothing to hide. Because part of this is who we are, is being welcoming. When we come and we're opening doors and saying hello and how are you, and being involved and being college ready and career ready and going on to institutions of higher learning. That's who we are, and that's what we want to promote. Okay, so please come over, help us. I appreciate it. I think our CI3T is the big thing this year. It's really going well. I just got a text not 10 minutes ago that said our hallways have never looked better. And I said, well, there's CI3T, because now you have the expectations. We don't need trash in there. You would think that would be something that people realize. They don't all realize. So you have to kind of remind people, just like your children. Clean your room, pick up after yourself. So the same thing. Okay, so we're really promoting a positive vibe over Highland Park this year. So thank you for the opportunity.
Any questions for Mr. Ackerman before you leave? Ms. Kirk, you said.
Oh, not a question, I'm just saying, go get them.
Oh, thank you.
Your enthusiasm's contagious. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
It's good to be a Scot.
It is. Actually, it's great to be a Scot.
So as we transition and look at enrollment, do know that for the high schools, they will be taking both the ACT in October, and this year we have 200 students. I guess about 30 are coming from Highland Park, but about 200 students, 250 students that will be taking the PSAT this year. That is new. So all of our gifted students and all of the students that we know that should take the PSAT and maybe might not be aware, they'll actually be required this year to take it. So that gives the awareness, and we're having parent meetings throughout the course of September. On that note, the slide is up, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Gowan to pick up with online registration.
Currently, we're sitting at 12,898. This is our current enrollment, excluding preschoolers and, of course, parochial schools that feed into our numbers as well.
So we're going to leave Mr. Gowan up there to answer questions.
Sure.
Last year, the September 20th count, we had 13,400, and we anticipate, and this year, much like what was said 2 weeks ago, we have more students enrolled at this time than we had this time last year. So we anticipate, based on projections, and Mr. Kidd, please interrupt if I say this improperly, but we certainly anticipate not only meeting that number, but potentially exceeding that number this year. It's hard to tell what that September 20th enrollment will be in terms of race or schools until closer to that September 20th date. So you're going to get a much more detailed accounting on that September 20th date.
So, quick question either for Mr. Gowan or Mr. Kipp. Can you break that number down for us? That's an FTE number, right?
Yes.
So, is that head count?
That's head count.
Okay.
Yeah, that's head count.
Okay.
So, you know, that we're in the process of, schools are dropping the kids that didn't show for enrollment. I mean, they're doing home visits, outreach, please get your kids into school. They're doing a really great effort of reaching out to them. Some of them have realized that they moved out of state or in state, so they're starting to drop off. But based on that 12-8 number, these are kids that are actively in the school, have a schedule, are attending, so we know for sure that they're there. The interesting thing when I started diving into that data, we have a lot more dual enrollment, which was really, I think we had maybe 80, 89 kids last year that were dually enrolled, like with TCAL, or maybe a middle school kid taking a high school class. This year, we've almost tripled it in terms of kids doing TCAL or college prep, and it's just amazing to see, as these schools are building their schedules, the amount of college and career readiness embedded in their schedules. And so I'm really excited to see how that plays out, because this is unprecedented that we've had this much kind of cross-inter-district collaboration. So, yeah.
Which is great. I mean, that was what we wanted, certainly. Question, there was a few years ago, I remember you came and presented to us at one point for the September 20th date, and there was a bank of students that you knew would be showing up. We already knew where they were, had all their information, where they lived, they had all their vaccinations, or where they hadn't had something turned in. Do you have like a little cushion count for us that you could share at this point?
Probably not at this point. There is a cushion count that we're watching and just kind of waiting to see. Yeah, there are some barriers in terms of getting the parents to actually get, there's always that Labor Day thing. Traditionally, they start seeing the school buses and I better get my kids into school kind of thing. But with all the home visits and porch visits that the principals have been doing, I don't think they're leaving any stone unturned in trying to track down these kids. But yeah, and internally there is some stuff in the data system, our new data system, that we have to kind of clean out and just make sure everything's kosher in that regard.
So, Mr. Woods, part of that, after Labor Day, that's the September 5th board meeting. So the September 5th board meeting, Mr. Kipp has shared numbers with me. He's probably a little nervous to share anything that's too high here in an open space. But to be conservative and careful, that September 5th date is probably a date after Labor Day that we can say, here are the kids we couldn't find. They're not enrolled anywhere in Kansas. And that might give you a little bit more a feel of, who are students that haven't shown up, that haven't enrolled anywhere. And those are the kids we're talking about, students. And he actually can look to see, did they enroll anywhere in Kansas? And if they haven't, those are kids that we know are still out there that are still waiting to come to school. So we're encouraged with the fact that we have almost 13,000 students without even having that extra piece. But so now we're really pushing, make sure you show up. And perhaps almost on a daily basis, is about 100 students at least on a daily basis that are each week that we're...
I'd say 70 to 100 a day are coming in. So I would say we're on track. My projection is 13.4, September 20th. Yeah, so at this rate, I mean, mathematically, we got about a month. I'd say it's doable. I think we'll be on track to where I quoted that head count for the budget. So, of course, 13.4 is 200 less than we were last year at 13.6. So we're just trying to get up to that point where we don't lose more than 200 this year round. But I think we're on track.
Yeah, and fair enough on the cushion count number that can wait.
So every board meeting up until the 20th will have this same level of update.
Can you clarify the slide, online registration status? So is that just students who've been registered online? Or
So we began with the students who registered online and compared it to the previous year's numbers. And what you see for the August 13th presentation was the last reading for students online. The green, the current reading, we've taken it beyond that. We're looking at the students who are actually here, actually attending, actually enrolled. And so it's kind of like an extension of what we were counting before when we were doing the online registration.
So if I were to subtract 11,921 from 12,898, that would be the number of students if they're both a week or August 13th.
Yep.
That would be the number of students who enrolled in.
Since the 13th, yes.
What percentage of our students were enrolled online versus showed up in person, and do you know? A rough estimate?
We really can't give you a good firm number on that, because even when they were here for in-person registration, they were using the online system to do the registration
So it's hard to
process.
distinguish.
So yeah, it's a little harder to distinguish.
Would it be fair to say almost most of the people use the online?
Oh, yeah. A very small percentage were completely registered manually.
So I've long been an advocate of that, because I take an afternoon off from work in order to register my kids, stand through lines at Topeka High School's cafeteria and write 8 checks, it seemed like. But one of the downsides to that is we miss out on some of those extracurricular activity, advertisement, the sign up for the band parents or the cross-country sign-up coach would be there and those kinds of things. I don't know. There's an opportunity to combine what we missed or what we're missing and recapture that in an online form.
Well, so we've done a few things. So like, was it last night? It was one day this week that I was at the Topeka High sign-up event this week. So they had their parent event this week. All the tables, the PTO, all of those, PTA, all the various groups were out there. So they did it right after, this is the first full week of school. The elementary schools, Whitson had their cookout and activities this past Saturday. Several elementary schools had it last week. So, that's really been a way to still do that, but it really becomes a family engagement experience, not a registration experience.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, on a personal note, my wife roped me into doing the ice cream social at Scott Magnet, which was a fun event, but they also embedded, completing the ASQ, completing any online registration that you hadn't done before, talking about opportunities, PTO, things like that. So principals are smart about embedding, you've got a captive audience there, so you want to convey as much information as you can while they're there.
Dr. McCarthy.
I was going to ask if whether board members thought it might be useful in the final kind of enrollment update that we maybe dig into data a little more deeply, considering that this is our year of redoing the strategic plan. And that as we maybe look at 5-year trends at individual schools and include racial identifiability of schools, because we know that we continue to take a look at that because of the Brown legacy. But taking into mind that some of that data may help guide what we do in the strategic plan, depending on what we see in schools.
Sure, yeah, we can provide that data.
Ms. Johnson.
Also, you were talking about the dual enrollment, and one of the things that we've also tried to do is with Watch Protect is get our students involved there. Was that also included in those numbers that you shared with us earlier?
Yes, yes, absolutely. There, the Watch Protect East, even dual enrollment with Washburn University if they're taking classes there. I mean, it's just, I've been doing this several years. I've never seen that level of kids getting involved in these, other institutions. And I'm glad to see TCAL is being populated with all of our kids and give exposure to those opportunities there. So it's, we've almost tripled that from last year. So it's great.
Yeah, that's encouraging. Definitely want to give our students that opportunity, and that means that we're getting the word out to our community. So that's exciting. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you both very much.
We do want to let board members know that Tuesday is kindergarten readiness night. It's something new we're doing this year. And so that every elementary school will have a kindergarten engagement night for parents. Part of that is that they did need to fill out the ASQ, but ASQ night just doesn't sound real exciting to me. So we thought instead of just doing the ASQ, why don't we just have kindergarten readiness and have activities set up for parents as teachers and all of that. So we will make sure that you know kind of the times. Is it 5 to 7? So any elementary school between 5 to 7. The last item is that preschool started today. Very exciting. I think probably the most exciting place was Shaner with the paws mascot that was there. But outside of the big mascot greeting young people, all of the preschools were just off and going and just exciting. I understand that the Ross parking was great, and dismissal was much better this year, as parents have commented that this was one of the smoothest years that they've had as it relates to that as well. So it's been a great start to the year, and thank you for the support for that.
So do you have numbers at Shaner at this point?
Yeah, 99 students. It's an easy one to remember. So this time they have 6 rooms, each with full classes, and last year they had 3 rooms with full classes, so we have grown tremendously, and it's pretty much a 50-50 split, with tuition being half of that, and then state pre-K making up the other portion. They are full, so we really aren't doing much more enrollment at this time. Just they're pretty much full to the capacity, which is a great problem to have.
Further questions? That's the end of the superintendent's report. So we are down to board member comments. Mr. Williams, Dr. Mickelson.
Just briefly, one other thing you may want to add to your calendars: on Wednesday is a TCALC open house at 6 to 7. So Wednesday night from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. next week. I believe it.
How is that being advertised?
I'm on a committee, and the committee chair asked me to remind me, so.
So I'm going to ask Ms. Kruger to come forward. The question was, how is the TCALC open house being advertised? And outside of the social media and the television, can you share other ways in which you are? And we'll be continuing to advertise that up to Wednesday. We know the parents will be there, but beyond that?
So we have created some graphics and some promotional items in-house for Dr. Morrell and the team at TCALC that they're promoting within their partnerships that they have there at TCALC. As the week kicks off this weekend, Monday, we'll be sending out a media release as well. We have created an event on social media, so typical things that we would normally do, we've done those items as well. And I'm actually meeting with Dr. Morrell tomorrow afternoon to continue to talk about not just the open house, but TCALC in general and how we continue to promote.
So on communications, Ms. Kruger, you'll give us the date and time of the kindergarten thing, and...
Yes, so we get your weekly events list
Okay.
of all the information.
Super, thanks. Ms. Johnson? Welcome to our age group, almost.
I had a delightful first day of school with Ms. Billy Wallace, touring me around. Went to Williams and to Stout and to, what was our other? Whitson, yes, which I had not been to for a while, so that was a real treat to do that. I was impressed with how engaged the students were. We got there minutes within the school day starting, and I just loved seeing that classrooms were quiet, hallways were quiet as well, and the kids were very few tears and just lots of excitement. So that was thrilling to see. And I'm excited to continue to see what happens at Williams this year. And I'm very excited about the kindergarten readiness event, because I've always felt that our kindergarten open houses or meet the teachers or any of those events are a real opportunity for us to start new parents off on the right foot at Topeka Public Schools. And I really remember vividly at my children's preschool, the first parent night, and I think the parents were more nervous than the kids coming to school, because we're all waiting to be told how to do this, like what's expected of us and what can we do to be helpful. So it's a real opportunity for families and parents to be made welcome and to let them know what the expectations are for them, and not just in terms of you gotta have your vaccinations and you gotta do this, but their role as children's first teachers and how they can support what the teachers are doing and that they have something valuable to offer as well. So I really look forward to seeing that continue to develop. Mrs. Johnson?
Ready. You all might have discussed this at the last meeting, but what did we decide what Nuff said? Dates and all of that.
Enough step, I I can't even say it. I have to take a drink here.
Is that vodka?
Okay, enough said is up and going. And we're planning, we're definitely going to be having it at the Cyrus Hotel. That will be the hotel for the conference. People will be staying there. The website is up. It went up, and when I got the notice and it went up, so I checked it right away, and it didn't work. So I know it was some kind of, and I said, what's going, yeah. He said, I got a hold of the Enough Said folks, and they said, oh, it's not us, it's Topeka. And I thought, okay, then he said, we're on our way, we're talking to Misty. So I said, fine. I didn't worry about it from that point on, but it's up, and it looks nice. And I'm really hopeful. I'm hopeful that people will come this far. It's not easy to get to Topeka. You can't just fly in. We could even fly into places in West Virginia. I mean, we flew in on, I'd never been on one of those kind of planes before. It was a prop jet of some kind. I mean, it looked like something from the 40s. I swear that's what I thought it came from. I mean, but we got in that you could fly in. But you can't do that here. So people are going to have to drive, and so it gets to be, do we really want to do it? So I'm just hoping that our enthusiasm and what we're trying to do and our encouragement to people carries through, and that we get a good group here. But Enough Said is still operating, so that's not to worry. We're still an organization.
How many people did we bring last time we hosted it back in, 2020?
We tried to look it up. Misty tried to look it up and couldn't find any documentation. What's what?
It was a lot, it was a good conference.
It was good, but I mean, I don't know that it was 50 to 75 people probably. And then when you figure in our staff, it's another 25, had about 100 people. But I'm guessing that's where it was. The last one we went to in New Orleans, again, you know, I didn't think it was as big a turnout as I've seen in New Orleans. Usually we have a huge group. Everybody wants to be there. So I don't know what's going on. It wasn't just us. So I don't know. I'm hoping we have 50 people, maybe 75 will be great. We'll see what happens. It will not be large. We never are large. Or we're not a large organization. We don't have thousands of people. We have hundreds, which means you get to know people pretty well, and you get to see their districts in a much more intimate way. So I do think that I think we're going to have a great program for them. It's just got to get those bodies here. It's pretty cool. If you haven't been to the Cyrus Hotel, just to go take a look what the rooms are like. They're not big. They're little rooms, really, but the views, they're not good for people who have a problem with heights. So I'm standing there in the middle looking out like that. I said, I can see, you know. But it was grand. They're beautiful. So, anyway.
Mr. Woods?
I'm going to pass.
So, Ms. Johnson, I assume you were done? Yes, okay. Ms. Kirk? No, the only thing that came to my mind is that I am interested in, you're going to be talking about enrollment and those things next time, and that we might talk about too, you know, how has the transition to the new computer system gone? We think it went well for parents. How has it gone for teachers? How has it gone for other people in the district who have to use it? You know, like counselors and principals and all these things. I mean, everybody has a different kind of need for access for different kinds of bits of information. So just to give us an idea I'm certainly there are challenges. Don't be afraid to tell us there are challenges. We're still working out kinds of things. But to give us an idea of how that's gone. Nobody's asked me to do anything in it, so I'm so glad. Thank you. Is my Chrome stuff going to go away? It's still there, right? Okay, all right. Scared me the other day. They said everything had been changed. My password had been changed, and a whole bunch of stuff. And I thought, what? They didn't tell me this, so I got real nervous. So I got really concerned about other people. So anyway, that would be important, I think, for us, because if things aren't working, you know what? Somebody's going to complain to us. And so I give us an idea of what we should expect, that they might have some concerns about it, and that whatever it is being fixed, it'll be better, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Just an anecdote, I also had a very good first day with Mr. Dick. I got to go to Randolph, and I got there before the kids got there. So Dr. Gray took me all over the school and introduced me to teachers that he thought were excellent teachers, and he volunteered that his teacher retention was very, very high. And so he was very pleased, and I could tell how proud he was of being at Randolph. And then went to Loman Hill and got a pom-pom and welcomed the kids in the door, and that was really fun. Went over to Ross, and Mr. Schrader was running around like crazy, so he did not give me it was pretty chaotic, although the kids seemed to know where they were going, and the traffic was moving. So those were the two things that I noticed at Ross. So I had a very good day, and other than that, those were mild anecdotes. Any other discussion?
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn.
We have a motion and a second, and I'm sure there's no discussion, and we're ready to vote.
You won't accept it.
I won't accept any. I think if you have discussion about that, you're pretty sick. I think you see Dr. McCarthy. So all in favor? Is it coming up or?
It's up.
Okay, great.